My name is Amanda Clarke. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Public Policy and Administration at Carleton University, and that's in Ottawa, Canada. I started to become interested in government as a platform actually from working within government. That was before the term had really been coined by Tim O'Reilly and became a popular sort of shorthand for what it means to govern in a digital age. And suddenly there were these sort of tech-inspired theories of government emerging, such as government as a platform. And so I decided to pursue a PhD exploring how governments were adapting to this transition from an early formulation of government as a platform that really envisioned a very participatory state in which citizens and civil society were sort of first movers in solving social problems, enabled by new flows of information and digital technologies. Whereas in what I argue is sort of an emerging third phase of government as a platform that we're in now, you're starting to see governments, in particular in the UK, reframing government as a platform as a sort of project of in-house public management renewal. It's about government building platforms, often working with open source technologies and in sort of open ways, releasing data and making APIs available, for example. We need to, instead of sort of making these statements of transformation, rather begin more with kind of questions of, well, what will open data mean for a broad range of the segments of the population? How will it transform the way in which citizens and governments interact? And this could be applied to a whole range of different mechanisms that get thrown under the kind of civic tech rubric or umbrella. To an extent, many governments still haven't embrace digital to the extent that they should. I mean, they certainly are aware that they need to move services online, and that's partially because they themselves, political leaders and civil servants are themselves aware of the gap between the sort of paper-based services they deliver and use themselves as citizens and what they get from Amazon, Uber, etc. This is the cost savings driving. I mean, that I think has the sort of we need to have digital services agenda is well accepted. The extent to which government cultures have been transformed by digital tech, I think we're still at a phase in which there's kind of a small group of maybe early adopters, some sort of leaders who realize this is changing the culture of government. But I think there's still many processes and ways of working within the state that are just a bit oblivious and really kind of rejecting the kinds of open networked problem solving that we're seeing outside. Historically, I mean, it's not safe to say that, or not fair to say that governments have always been behind the curve in terms of, identifying emerging technologies and related socioeconomic trends. But I think today, this is where we're at. Most governments do not have the sort of the metabolism, I'd say, to sort of identify and keep pace with these trends. And this is where groups like My Society and other NGOs that are active in the civic tech movement can really play a very important role, is sort of being more on that cutting edge, identifying these possibilities before the state, given its internal challenges, policy constraints, hierarchies, etc., that it won't be able to sort of keep up to speed. The other space is certainly in kind of keeping governments honest, because we do hear a lot of rhetoric from political leaders now about their embrace of open government and open data, and the idea that the state needs to transform. And this is again where that sort of outside check and balance from groups like My Society is absolutely essential to ensuring that digital governments are not just providing lower cost and better services, but they're also providing a more sort of robust, transparent, accountable form of governance. It's a really, I think, excellent opportunity to connect with academics and practitioners who bring a critical eye to some of these issues, and that's also very refreshing. It's been great. I mean, it's only been I've only been to a few sessions thus far because we're really just getting going. But I'm really impressed at how critical people are being, including those who would themselves probably openly acknowledge that maybe 3-4 years ago they were part of the early, somewhat naive enthusiasm that we saw in this space. So that's great, because I think what we're seeing now is, again, this move from statements of transformation to questions about the nature, scope, speed, scale, and of transformation, and also direction. Is civic tech taking us towards more robust democracy, better governments, or in some cases are we seeing technologies being put to disservice of movements that actually degrade the quality of our democratic institutions. So that's quite refreshing, actually.